Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back to Tea Time with Mr. T. Now, as always, is my buddy George right here hanging out. We are going to share a story with you, but before we get to that story, George, do you want to show them your new dance moves that you just learned? Oh, come on, George, you sure? Alright, buddy. Alright, boys and girls, if you have your teacup, pinkies up, because we are so very fancy, and we're going to come in for the clink. There we go. Alright, so cool story for you today. We're going to get started right away because it's a little bit of a long one. I wonder if you've ever heard of a story like this one before. This is The Three Little Aliens and the Big Bad Robot. This is by Margaret McNamara and Mark Fearing. Let's see what this is all about. There's all our planets, huh? Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Three little aliens and the big bad robot. Once there was a mama alien who had three little aliens. They were called Bork, Gork, and Niklowitz. Bork, Gork, and Niklowitz grew up in an old-fashioned house in a snug, cozy crater on a tiny little planet. As the eons passed, their house got too crowded. It's time for you to go out into the universe and find a planet of your own, their mama told them, giving each a hug. But remember, watch out for the big bad robot. It wants to chew you up. So Bork, Gork, and Niklowitz took off. Bye, Mama, they all cried. Bye, kids, she shouted back. Always stick together, she added. Then she sniffed a little bit. And call me every once in a while. The three little aliens traveled far and fast. There's a cute planet, said Bork. Too hot, said Niklowitz. How about that one, asked Gork. Too crowded, replied Niklowitz. They darted around a meteor. Are we there yet, asked Bork. Just as they passed the next bend, a big planet, swirling with dust, loomed into view. Bork spotted a shiny space rover zipping around its mountains and plains. Awesome, she said. I'm going to live in that. Ma said to stick together, called Niklowitz. But Bork had already zipped too far away to hear. Niklowitz and Gork traveled on. Niklowitz didn't like the looks of the next planet either. Nowhere to breathe, he gasped. Picky, picky, Gork said. Then, just ahead, he spied a giant planet with huge golden rings around it. He jumped on a passing satellite and caught a ride on a ring. Whee, he squealed. This is what I call home. We can't live on a ring that goes around in circles, yelled Niklowitz. We'll get dizzy. But Gork wasn't paying any attention. Now, Niklowitz was all alone. He traveled deeper and deeper into space until he spotted a massive blue planet, far out in the galaxy. It had 13 moons and refreshing breezes. This faraway place is where I'll build my home, he said. It'll be safe from the big, bad robot. Niklowitz found everything he needed to make sturdy walls. He gathered stardust to keep his home bright and found solar panels to keep it warm. Then he grabbed a tall, shiny telescope. This'll do for a chimney, he said, though no one heard him. Rock by rock and row by row, Niklowitz built the perfect house. That when he was finished, he sat down and locked the door. His house was not very zippy or cool, but it was very safe, and there was room enough for all three little aliens. I hope they come to visit soon, said Niklowitz. Then one galactic dawn there was a rumbling in the universe. Greep, boink, meep, beedly deep, ork, eep. It was the big, bad robot. That's the part when we go dun dun dun. Let's try it again. Dun dun dun. Bork was so busy on her swirly red planet that she couldn't hear the robot's call. She didn't feel its giant footsteps as it leapt from star to star. And she didn't see the robot until it was right in front of her rover. Little alien, bleeped the robot. Pull over, pull over. Not by the wheels of my trusty space rover, cried Bork bravely. Then I'll crack and smack and whack your house down, meeped the robot. And just like that, the robot cracked and smacked and whacked Bork's shiny rover into 100 pieces. Greep, boink, meep, peedly deep, ork, eep, eep. As fast as the speed of sound, Bork jetted away, the robot close behind her. Just as the robot was about to eat her up, she spotted Gork's satellite house. Gork, Gork, help me, she cried. But Gork was having so much fun surfing on the rings of his giant planet that he didn't hear Bork's cries. He didn't see the robot chomping on comets and ripping open black holes until the big bad robot caught Gork's satellite in his huge metal claw. Little alien, it boinked. Come out of hiding. Not by the orbit of this ring I'm riding, cried Gork stoutly. Then I will shatter and clatter and scatter your house down, groinked the robot. And before Gork could fly beneath the radar, the robot clattered and scattered and shattered Gork's satellite into 1,000 pieces. Greep, boink, meep, ork, deep, peedly, eep, eep, eep. Gork barely escaped. Over here, cried Bork. We'll stick together. At the speed of light, Bork and Gork blasted out into space, with the big bad robot getting closer all the time. Where can we hide? Asked Gork. Let's find Niklowitz, cried Bork. He'll know what to do. Niklowitz had heard the robot's roar. He had seen what was going on with his brother and sister through his telescope, and he was ready. He flashed his solar panels halfway across the universe. There he is, cried Bork and Gork, and they zoomed to Niklowitz's house as fast as a hurling asteroid. Get inside, cried Niklowitz. No time to waste. No sooner had Bork slammed Niklowitz's solid space rock door than they heard the robot rumbling. Little alien, he squeaked. Let me come in. Not by the slime on my chinny chin, cried Niklowitz. Then I will smack and crack and whack your house down, zeeped the robot. The big bad robot bashed and crashed Niklowitz's strong solid house. Nothing happened. Then it pounded and smashed really hard, not a crack. Then it loaded up its triple blaster and zapped that house but good. That house would not fall down. So the robot forced its way into the little alien's house right down the chimney. Creep, da creep. The aliens covered their ears and waited for the robot to chomp them up. But halfway down the telescope, that robot got stuck tight. It strained and it struggled. It moaned and it groaned. Niklowitz's house shook and shuddered, but did it fall down? It did not. The robot gave one more mighty cry as it burst into 1,000,000 pieces. Cool, said Bork. Awesome, said Gork. Just as I planned, said Niklowitz. There's just one thing missing, said Bork. Phone home, said Gork. So Niklowitz did. Ma, he said, we have the coziest house in the galaxy. Won't you come over and tuck us in? And she did. All right, so that was The Three Little Aliens and the Big Bad Robot. Was that a familiar story? Yeah? Do you know a story that was like that? What story is similar to that one? All right. Now, a couple questions for you. Who were the characters in that story? And what was the setting of that story? Ooh, that's a tough one, huh? Now, a couple more questions. Actually, 3. What happened at the beginning of that story? What about what happened in the middle of that story? And finally, what happened at the end of the story? Yeah? All right. Well, George and I are going to continue with our tea. I hope you enjoyed your time with us, and we'll see you guys next time. Before we go, pinkies up, cups up, and come in for the clink. Bye, everybody.